When you are buying real estate in my market of Surrey, BC, you probably want to know where you could get the best bang for your buck, and specifically if you're an investor, but also if you're looking for your principal residence and thinking about building equity in the future. Well, in today's video, I'm going to share with you what I think are the 3 most overrated neighborhoods to invest in real estate within the city of Surrey. And if you would like to see more videos like this one, keeping you up to date on Surrey and the Fraser Valley real estate market, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and make sure you click that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. And if you would kindly click the like button, I'd really appreciate it, because that would tell YouTube to send this video out to more people just like you. And I would love more people just like you to discover this channel, because you're great and they're probably great too. And of course, if you need help selling your investment property in Surrey or the Fraser Valley, something that's getting a little harder to do these days, by the way, well, you can book a call with me right now using the link in the description below at a time that works best for you. And now let's dive into the areas in the city of Surrey that I think are the most overrated, specifically for investments. Starting in the northwest corner of the city with City Centre, or what used to more commonly be known as Whalley. Whalley is, and always has been, probably the roughest part of Surrey. But previous Mayor Diane Watts made an effort to invest in the new downtown of Surrey and even chose to move City Hall there years ago. Whalley is Surrey's largest play at densification. Projects by all sorts of developers are seemingly adding more and more and more high-rises to the skyline by the day. And Whalley is actually where most of the investment dollars are going, specifically if you account for the number of condo sales in both resale and pre-construction. But the truth is, not many people that live in the city already would choose to live or buy or invest in a rental within Whalley. Rather, the investors that we do see buying there are usually from Vancouver or Burnaby, and they end up buying in Whalley because it's a whole lot cheaper than in the city. But it's also the only part of the city that those investors know, probably because it's the only part of Surrey serviced by the SkyTrain at the moment. Now, City Centre is being created, and in the future, it might be a great spot. But currently, it's still full of addiction, and the whole area skews heavily towards tenant occupancy, and often that makes it not the nicest place to live. So if you plan to buy a pre-sale and try and flip it, or if you hold on to real estate for less than 5 years, Whalley could prove to be a very high risk. This is compounded because when the market slows, there is so much competition between sellers that prices could fall faster here than other areas that have less housing. There's just so much for buyers to pick from when the market slows down. And if you're buying pre-sale, look at the floor plan you are buying extremely closely, because the new floor plans available today are most often not good for living and are really only good for a good hot market where investors are flipping the paper and nobody is really paying attention to the livability, because all they're focused on is price. Next up, we're going south to Grandview in South Surrey. Now, the neighborhood of Grandview is up and coming, if it hasn't already up and came. Large dollars were flowing into Grandview under previous mayors, but our last most previous mayor cut a bunch of spending out of that area to appease his voting base, which happened to be structured more along the Scott Road and 128th corridors. Grandview is most likely going to make up a large portion of the city's population in the future. And it does have some really good things going for it. But because everyone is so excited about Grandview, let's poo-poo on their parade for a minute. Rain on their parade for a minute? Here are some things that you may want to watch out for. Grandview is, of course, South Surrey. But for the people, again, living within the city, South Surrey is not all the same. Areas like Ocean Park and Crescent Beach to the west have always had a very good reputation within South Surrey. But those areas are generally single-family, detached, low density. So when the city needed and switched towards density, they went east to Grandview. And again, well, those folks coming from Richmond, Vancouver, and Burnaby didn't know the difference. Grandview does have easy access to the highway, which makes it easy to travel to the airport and into Richmond. But with such increased density and basically no transit, sometimes you feel like 24th Avenue is more of a parking lot than a street. It can be really crowded. Next, there's a large power line corridor of high voltage wires that runs right through the community. Some buyers don't mind power lines and aren't worried about them at all, but others believe that there are health risks if you live near power lines over a long term. I'm not smart enough to know if that's true or not, but they are an eyesore, and they do remove many of your future buyers from the buying pool when you go to resell. Grandview does attract young families, but that's another problem because schools, community centers, and even swimming lessons in the area are always booked full. And the last overrated neighborhood on my list for real estate investment within the city of Surrey, oh, I'm going to get in trouble for this one. It's Fleetwood. Now, I grew up in Fleetwood, and I even graduated from Fleetwood Park Secondary. But I think as an investment in this area, it's not going to be what everybody's hoping it will be. The reason everyone wants to be in Fleetwood is because it's the nicest, closest neighborhood to the SkyTrain. And with the new SkyTrain line set to run straight through Fleetwood with another 3 stops whenever they get built. When's that going to be anyway? Well, Fleetwood was built up mostly in the 80s and 90s. There are very few condos there, and sure, there may be some townhouses, but a lot of those townhouses were built in an era that kind of sucked. But on the other hand, lots of investors do want to buy near transit hubs for the future, and that's understandable. But at the exact same time, I have clients calling me on a weekly basis that live within, say, 1,000 meters of the new train line, and they are panicking trying to time their exit out because they think the new train line will bring problems like property crime. And well, I tend to have to agree with them. But you should not think of Fleetwood for the future like Wally. Wally will be the new downtown town center of the Fraser Valley. Fleetwood will probably look a little bit more like Burnaby as Fraser Highway starts to resemble Kingsway. Don't get me wrong, there are some great projects in Fleetwood like Fleetwood Village by Dawson and Sawyer, but overall, I think investors are focusing on what Fleetwood was and not what Fleetwood will become in the future. Fleetwood will, however, be the right spot for a family who wants to live in, say, a 3-bedroom townhouse while access to the train is an absolute must. And let me know down below in the comments if you think there are more overrated areas within the city of Surrey than the ones I've listed here. And remember, I'm not saying these areas of Wally, Grandview, and Fleetwood are bad for real estate investment. I just think they have a little more hype than might be deserved. And of course, if you need help with residential real estate here in Surrey, you can book a call with me right now using the link in the description below at a time that works best for you. Thank you for subscribing, clicking the like button, and we'll see you in a couple of days.